good, everyone? Welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be talking about how to get over your fear of sales calls. I'm talking to the people especially who've never taken a sales call. Let's say they've just gotten a position and they're about to take the first one or the second one. And I understand this can be quite a daunting experience. I remember when I took my first sales call, it went on for 90 minutes, only for me not to close. At least I got a follow-up, but I didn't close. My palms were shaking, they were sweating. I was reading off a script on my computer. This was about 2-3 years ago now. I still remember it to this day. So everyone starts somewhere. It just goes to show that everyone starts somewhere. Even the people you look up to who do sales, they've been there in the past. But the only difference is they chose to, well, there's a lot of differences, but I think the main one that stands out is they chose to persist longer than, or they chose to stay in the game longer than you did, or longer than someone who maybe gave up after sales after a few months of sales, right? So I think the first fix, if you're gonna take your first sales call and you're just kind of getting the butterflies, is I think the first thing is just accepting it. Just accept that these first few calls aren't gonna be that good, because then what that does is, now that you've accepted, okay, these first few ones, and it might not be, you might actually close in your first sales call. I actually closed in my second sales call, a pay in full, so I was pretty lucky. But just accept in the back of your mind, like, okay, if these first few calls aren't gonna go well, so I have no attachment to the outcome, therefore you're just gonna free up a lot of mental clutter compared to if you were trying to close these first 5-10 calls, if you're placing so much mental strain on trying to close them, right? So accept the fact that your first few calls aren't going to be that good, but at the same time, do not let yourself stay there. You're going to be reflecting on these moments. You're going to be recording your Zoom calls or Google Meets calls. I don't know if you can do that, but recording your calls, for example, like the basics, it is imperative. So make sure you set up like auto record, because then in the nighttime you can reflect on your past call recordings. You can see what you did right, what you did wrong, what you could have done next time, and then you can use those learnings the following day when you have another calendar full of sales calls. So that's the first thing, is just accepting that, look, it's probably not going to go well, and it's completely fine. I'm going to try and close them, but if they don't go well, then it's not a problem either. The second thing, and this is going to be an overarching theme in a lot of videos from now on, is volume. If you are not on an offer where you are taking at least 5 to 10 sales calls a day, I said 5 to 10. If you're not on an offer that allows you to do that, then it's going to be very hard to improve. It's going to be very hard to get good at sales very quickly, and therefore earn your first few commissions, get to your goals. And the reason is, if you're starting out, that's all you need. I put a tweet out a couple of days ago about the importance of volume. I believe the best way to learn is through total immersion. It's by just jumping straight into the deep end and figuring out how to float along the way, figuring out how to swim along the way. Because at that moment, you are now just going to be reverted back to your primal instincts. And what I mean by primal instincts is, a lot of us overthink, right? This is worse back then, but I was an overthinker. And what that simply allows you to do is you just don't overthink anymore, because you don't have room to overthink. You don't have room to feel insecure. You don't have room to doubt yourself, because everything's coming at you at full cylinder. Everything's coming at you on all cylinders. You got 10 sales calls on your calendar. You don't have time to get down on yourself, because you got the next one coming up. All right, so all you can do is take action. And as you know, ruthless action is what gets you ruthless progress and ruthless results. So in a practical way, if you have an offer, even if it's a dumb offer, right? Even if the leads are crappy, as long as you have 5 to 10 sales calls you're taking daily, then it's not going to be long until you get good at sales. Trust me, because what's that? If you break down the maths, what is that? 5 calls a day, 6 days a week, that's 30 sales calls a week. 30 times 4, that's 120 calls you're taking. Now obviously some will show up, some won't, but 120 calls, that's 120 push-ups in a month. And then if you do that for a couple more months, then what's going to happen? You're going to turn into an absolute beast. And if you don't turn into an absolute beast, at least you've come a long hell of a long way from where you were from month 0, right? So ruthless action, it allows you to not overthink because there's no room for it in the first place, and B, gives you those reps in order to improve and learn from, right? So even if you're not on an offer that allows you to take like 5 to 10 sales calls a day, be resourceful. Like, do mock calls. Find someone who wants to improve in sales as well, or already has a position. Find a partner, and then just go ham on taking mock calls with each other. You take turns. You go first, and then they go next, and practice closing each other. Could be different scenarios, different types of prospects, different offers, and that's going to be the closest thing to a real sales call. So, because I know I'm working with Elijah, and when he was back in September, when he was just getting into high ticket sales, he would do role plays every single day, AM to PM, with Homeros, who's another guy on our team, who's also our closer. So Elijah and Homero, back in September, when he had his back against the wall, he was taking sales calls, taking mock calls with Homero, AM to PM, because he had no choice. He had no other choice. If he didn't take those sales calls, if he didn't get better, then God knows where he would have been. So there's kind of pressure there as well. Volume is imperative. So if you don't have volume, it's going to be very hard. And yeah, it does take hard work, but ask yourself, is hard work worth the goals that you have in mind? So I'd say volume. I'd say just accepting the fact the first few calls aren't going to go well. And then the last thing is setting up some sort of reward mechanism, because I know how it feels when you've just gone 3-4 calls in a row and you haven't closed any, and you can get really down on yourself. I know I just said volume allows you to not like feel insecure or nothing, but it still happens to the best of us. So setting up some sort of like reward system where, hey, I did 3 to 4 calls today, I didn't close them, but the fact I showed up as my best self and tried my best, I'm still going to reward myself, because that keeps you in the game. We can only go so long. I know you guys want to you guys like see on the internet all the time this tough act, go years and years without like being in the trenches, don't reward yourself, no parties, no nothing. But if you just think of a small reward you can give yourself. For example, you go for dinner with friends after a long day of sales calls or a long week of sales calls. Let's maybe you close some, which is even great, but even if you didn't, just reward yourself for showing up as your best self on these sales calls, right? And then next week rolls by, you're still in the game, you're still in a good headspace because you rewarded yourself. You know, us humans, I'm reading a book right now called Atomic Habits, and there are 4 stages. I can't remember off the top of my head, but one of them is the reward phase, where, you know, after I think it's cue, craving, response, and reward. Reward being the last bit in this. The reward being the reason why we continue habits, right? So if you could think of a reward, or you can think of a system where it allows you to keep going, even when it gets tough, then I think you'll be fine. It could be dinner with friends, it could be, sitting down, watching Netflix at the end. Again, gurus aren't gonna like this, but bro, a little bit of Netflix, if that's what's gonna keep you going in sales, then, or appointment setting, then I'd see it as worth it, to be honest. So setting up as some sort of a reward system, I think that's going to be pretty productive. So just a summary quickly: detach from the outcome, sheer volume, and setting up a reward system. If you do those 3 things, and those are the 3 things I wish I knew when I was doing my first few sales calls, then I think I would have been in the game a lot longer, and I would have gotten better at sales much quicker. So hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this was helpful. If you're going to take your first sales calls, good luck. Let me know. You can reach out to me on Instagram at Matt Jacob. It's in the description, but you can reach out to me. Let me know how it goes. Let me know if this video helps, and I will see you in the next one. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and if you found this helpful. So anyways, see you in the next one. Take care.